This show is brought to you by Nice Mug. Nice Mug is the only mug made entirely out of ice. For more information, go to nicemug.com and enter the coupon code SAUNA for 10% off your entire purchase. Well, hey everybody, this is Glenn with Sauna Times, and this is a really special episode of Sauna Talk. You're going to be hearing from a bunch of folks in Minneapolis. These are people volunteering their time for the 612 Sauna Society. And what we have is we got Margie, Teak, JP, Alex, Max, Mike, and not even myself. So this is a guest episode with multiple voices. And what's great about this Sauna Talk is you're going to hear some common elements of how and why these folks are donating their time toward the mission of 612 Sauna Society and the soon-to-be-launched Kickstarter campaign, where funds will be raised, volunteers will be asked for, so that we can continue to build the community of sauna in the area of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, USA. So, the first of all, it's just a big thank you for contributions over the last 2 years. Without the participation and enthusiasm of everyone in the 612 Sauna Society, there would be no society. So with the folks that are members, there's over 2,000 strong, and it's growing each week. So what's going on next is an ask for support. Pledge at the $200 level when the Kickstarter campaign launches in October. And it also takes is 149 people to join at this level, and the campaign will be successful and have the necessary funds to move forward with the coming winter season in Minnesota. And only the donors who give at that level, the $200 level, will be eligible to be founding members of the Sauna Cooperative. And so it's one chance, and those listening that are interested in joining, check for the Kickstarter campaign. There'll be lots of indications when that campaign launches. I believe it's set for October 15th. And then there's a call for volunteers to help with the campaign. And anyone interested, maybe listening in the Twin Cities area and want to volunteer some time toward sauna in the public realm with 612 Sauna Society, the email address, volunteer at the number 612 saunasociety.com. That's volunteer at number 612 saunasociety.com. Great group of folks, fun people, and volunteering some time affords some free saunas. So that's the story. This is what's going to be happening. The purpose of this podcast is to introduce you to the steering committee members who would like to tell you a little bit about sauna and their experiences and why they're donating time toward the 612 Sauna Society Cooperative. Without further ado, welcome to this episode of Sauna Talk. Well, hey, this is Glenn with Sauna Times, and I'm talking to you here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, sitting in a beautiful living room. And whose living room is this? Who am I speaking with?
This is Margie Weaver.
And Margie, you live here, right?
I do.
Yeah, and we are right by the creek, right, in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Right by Minnehaha Creek, yes.
Right on. And so, Margie, to introduce yourself to listeners, tell us what you do in your day, like what your job is or what your passions are. What keeps you busy, Margie?
I'm a self-employed, I say unconventional artist, but mostly I teach yoga full-time, public classes and private clients.
You do, and you do that where?
One Yoga is a nonprofit studio on 26th Street in Lyndale in uptown Minneapolis.
Nice. And the purpose of this Sauna Talk is we're interviewing as many of the steering committee members of the 612 Sauna Society, as many of them as we can. And you happen to be volunteering a lot of your time as a member of the steering committee. And so why? I mean, it's a It's a broad question, but what has compelled you to dedicate your time to this organization?
I think it's a lot of John's passion for what he's doing and just seeing something really deep and true in keeping a tradition alive in the world that didn't necessarily make the leap across the ocean when our ancestors first came over here. And it seems important to me to know where you come from and to keep those traditions alive. And so I just got fired up, too, when John was first talking about how to keep this mobile sauna going beyond what it was last year and the years before with his personal one.
When you say you got fired up, was that in a wood-burning sauna or an electric sauna?
It was a wood-burning sauna. I have not been in an electric-burning sauna.
So you literally got fired up.
Literally.
Yeah, and so what do you love about sauna, Margie? What is the things that you as a yoga instructor yourself, maybe you could share for listeners what you personally love about sauna in the experience?
I think some of those things might be pretty obvious to anybody who's done yoga, but just the really meditative and the aspects of slowing down in your day. And we're living in a huge city, and people's lives are fast-paced, and they're full of day-to-day commitments. And I think we get overly focused on self, but how does taking care of ourselves then take care of the world? And sauna, to me, seems like a very good way to do a number of things around being healthy and having really good well-being.
Nice. And so when you yourself partake in sauna, let's just say hypothetically, the last 10 saunas you've taken, what time of day would you go into round one?
I think I'm, mostly a late afternoon or evening sauna person. In the summer, it's a little tricky with the mosquitoes. I want to be done by the time the mosquitoes.
So about 7 o'clock would be a good time maybe for you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then 7 o'clock, you go in for round one. And when would you, head back into the house saying, I'm done with my sauna session, if you, hypothetically, say, started at 7 p.m.?
It's a lot like my yoga practices, I think. It depends on how the day has gone, how much energy I have I eaten, how early do I have to get up the next day. But maybe in an ideal world, it's 3 rounds and some dips in the creek in between and a final little rinse in the shower. And
right on. Maybe about 9 o'clock, maybe?
Yeah, probably at least 90 minutes, but maybe longer.
Yeah, 90 minutes, maybe longer. So there's that concept that you were speaking about where in this busy world, you take yourself away from the busy world and you allow yourself for an hour and a half or 2 to completely restore, rejuvenate, that whole vibe. And it parallels yoga, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Sweet. Anything? One more last question. Well, I got 2 more for you, Margie. The first one is for people considering joining the 612 Sauna Society and becoming a member, of this community. And that, sell me on it. Why should I join? Like, if I'm listening in, why do you think I would want to join?
I just think that there have to be more ways for us, especially living in Minnesota in the winter, to stay connected to each other and to not go off into our little caves and isolate. And
how about the couch?
Not too solitary on the couch. Put down the remote.
I know.
Swimsuit.
I know. I mean, I have the good fortune of having a wood-burning sauna like 20 steps out my back door. Not walking distance from where we're sitting here, by the way, in South Minneapolis. And even that, it's like when it's cold out and I'm on the couch, I'm watching a hockey game or whatever, it's like, okay, it's winter. You really have to really ramp yourself up for it, right?
Yeah, I would say, too, it's very different than just gathering with people at a pub or going dancing or something like that. There's just so many beneficial aspects to it that people will draw their own conclusions from what that is for themselves. But, yeah.
So, Margie, if you could have a kick-ass mobile sauna and bring it anywhere, where would you choose?
I have not been everywhere in the world, but I was recently in Iceland, and there are many beautiful geothermal pools there, but I really longed for a sauna to be next to the sea and to be able to dip in the sea after in Iceland.
Well, I'll join you. Sounds great. Thanks for joining us, Margie. everybody, this is Glenn, and I'm sitting here with
Teak O'Reilly.
And Teak, what do you do? What's your day job? What are you up to?
Well, right now I am the executive director of a company called The Pitch, which is a new venture to kind of build a sports tech ecosystem here in Minneapolis, but it's an extension of work I've been doing for a long time in co-working. So building collaborative spaces and communities of people who work together in a number of ways, most often tech, but really all walks of life, from legal to marketing to content provision and et cetera. And that's how I met Mr. John Peterson.
Wow, super. So where's this sports facility located? Is it happening now?
Oh yeah, it's in fact we just had our grand opening party last Thursday. Our official opening was August 1st, and we're rolling with about 20 members right now, and it's going really well.
And where's it located?
Up in Northeast. We're at Broadway and Central in the Highlight Center.
Sweet, sweet. And those that are listening that are not from Minneapolis, Northeast is a community, a lot of brew pubs, a lot of younger people. That used to be the scene in Uptown, but Uptown got too expensive, and so Northeast is really a happening place, isn't it, T?
Well, it's got all the art galleries, too. It's one of the nation's largest art gallery districts, so Art-A-Whirl in the spring is kind of a major happening, and then every first Thursday, you've got art crawls that are going on. And then, like you said, the microbreweries, the distilleries, a lot of saunas up there nowadays, too.
Right on, right on.
So, support from the Northeast, the film crew.
So, Teak, you're a member of the steering committee on the 612 Sauna Society. And why are you dedicating your time, energy, passion to this group? Why?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it comes from a really honest affection. You know, it all happened organically. You know, meeting John, we were instant friends at Coco, and then the sauna connection happened a little later after that. My personal relationship with sauna and sweat goes way back to my childhood. And then, yeah, just after the occasional drop-in down in South Minneapolis, it grew and grew into this, you know, momentum that I think we're all sort of caught up in. And, yeah, for me, I've never really even thought about it. It's just been, you know, I mean, I tell this story all the time. When I saw the idea transpiring in the Surly tent, I looked at John and the whiteboard and I said, I'm in. Like, that's a brilliant idea.
And so it just happened like right away as soon as you saw John presenting. Yeah. You mentioned you have been part of sauna since real young. Give the listeners a little story about your background with sauna, with authentic sauna, the real sauna.
Well, I grew up in the Chicago area, but my father loved to go to the country, the rural side of Wisconsin. So we drive up there all the time. He had a friend, Steve Beasley, who had a sauna in his backyard in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And yeah, I mean, I think I was probably 3-4 years old, and I can remember, I mean, it was truly authentic. They were naked. I was, you know, early 70s, so kind of a hippie vibe. I remember picking blackberries out in the pasture. And so, yeah, some of my earliest memories are in actual, authentic Wisconsin country sauna. But then growing up, my dad always had a steam room in his houses. And so when I would visit him on the weekends, you know, steaming was a big part of our connection.
Was this Wisconsin sauna wood burning?
That one was, yeah. My father's steam houses were, I don't know quite the mechanism that you generated the steam, but, you know, like the built-in pressure pipes and all that. But then later in Colorado, my dad had an authentic sauna up in the mountains and a steam room in his basement.
Oh, that sounds great. So, Teak, tell us what, you know, it's an obvious question. I think I'm going to know a little bit about what your answer is going to be, but I'm asking this one anyway. What do you love about sauna? I mean, what is it that compels you to be interested in sauna as deep as you are?
Well, I mean, it's a purely physical thing on the surface. You know, it's just an undeniable sense of bliss and pleasure when you're countering, you know, extreme heat with extreme cold. But what it's turned into in this era and here in Minneapolis has absolutely been a social thing. I mean, the people that I've met in the cooling rooms and the stories that we've told in the hot box, and then the dinners that we've had, you know, extracurricularly, and all of the fundraising activities that we're working on together, all of that has superseded the actual physical experience of sauna. That said, whenever I sell sauna, what I'm selling are very much the physical and health attributes of it. That, you know, it is it's not a catchphrase. It is a transformative experience. It changes you from one way of feeling and being into a totally different. And I only see that and feel that as a positive thing in everybody's life. And so, yeah, to me, it starts with the physicality, but then those of us who share it, that bond and that that connection, that what it allows us to share, is really what has motivated me to continue on at this level of passion.
Right on. Well, you beat me to the punch, because that was going to be my next question for you, is why should someone join the 612 Sauna Society? Why should they become a member? But I think you nailed it. So I'm going to not even hand you the mic on that one. That was a great answer. So, but I do have one other question for you, Teek, is if you could have a kick-ass mobile sauna and bring it anywhere, where would you choose?
Oh, wow. You're really putting me on the spot. I mean, I love my Minnesota, and I already have my lake picked out up in Bovee. But if you're giving me anywhere,
Anywhere, brother.
I'm going Iceland all day.
Iceland. Wow, we're 2 for 2. That was Margie's answer,
no
too. So now the real question is, where in Iceland?
Oh, we'll see. I haven't been, so I don't know.
So it's a 2 for 1 deal. You get to bring the sauna to Iceland and go visit Iceland.
That's going to be quite the adventure. Are you going to run that Kickstarter campaign for me?
Well, let's do this one step at a time, brother. I think this is great. You know, I drew the analogy a while ago. I mean, when you think about food trucks 8-10 years ago, I mean, maybe 5% of whoever you would run into on the street would know what a food truck is, you know. But maybe when we're all done, the analogy is going to hold forward, where we're going to have like a fleet of mobile saunas, and including one in Iceland. Why not, huh?
I'm there, baby.
All right, great. Teek, thanks for all your hard work. I mean, I am in touch with all of the steering committee members for the 612 Sauna Society, and Teek is a beacon of organization and hard work, like a lot of this grunt work stuff that you folks out there listening are going to see, you know, in actual physical form, you know, a product of Teek's hard work. So on behalf of the 612 Sauna Society Steering Committee and Sauna Times, we want to thank you.
Stokeyard, baby.
Stokeyard it is. Wow. Okay, so we're joined by another esteemed colleague / guest / friend. I mean, who am I sitting here with?
My name is John Peterson.
And John, I think a lot of people know who you are, but just introduce yourself for guests that may not know, who are listening from other places. Tell us, like, what do you do in your day? You know, your day to day. What's your main thing?
Well, I'm the founder of the 612 Sauna Society, which has the group that started the Stokeyard Cooperative, which is what we're here talking about today.
Right on. So you're the kingpin.
I'm the Sauna Meister, so I you know, we started this about 2 years ago in my backyard, and it just started with hosting friends over for sauna, and you know, that has taken us now to this more public phase. So, you know,
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Right on. And I say the kingpin in that you have personally hosted and been a sauna meister for about how many people this past winter? I mean, you had the little box sauna brought to different installations, different residencies around town, and you did a hell of a job keeping score and gathering email lists, building a conversation. So about how many people would you say this past winter, the winter of 2015, 2016 in Minneapolis, as Sauna Meister, how many people have you hosted in the sauna?
I think it was about 1,900 by my estimate.
And at what number did you start to think that this thing could be a little bit deeper, stronger, more community-based than it is? At what number did that finally hit you?
At the first guest. I mean, it has nothing to do with the amount, with the amount of people. Every night has been so just self-contained and special in its own right that it's really, it's become popular. Now there is a larger group, but it's really about the actual experience of being at the sauna, which is limited to like 8 specific people who come together on a specific night. And that's what, that's the core of it,
Fantastic. Now, this is a tough question, and you can say pass, and I will take no offense to it. But as you think about 1,900 people, divide by 8, because 8 people fill a slot for a sauna session. if you had to explain to somebody the power of this gathering, this community, in just one of these sessions, does one come to mind where there is this like moment where everything that you dream and believe about sauna in Minneapolis came together? And if so, you can pass, JP. But if so, does one event come to mind? And who was there and where was it?
Gosh, so many come to mind. Just one of the more recent ones, just because he's sitting right here in front of me. Teak is here, and there's so many great sauna nights that one of the most special ones recently was Teak sent me a message the day after Prince died, and I had Teak over for a sauna, and we were.
And who's we?
Me and Teak.
You said we had Teak over for a sauna. Was it just you guys?
Yeah, it was just us two.
A two sauna session.
Yep.
2 people.
Yep. And it was a rainy night, and we hadn't seen each other for a while, so we were just catching up, and it was just one of those magical nights. And then later we found out that Prince had died that night. And, well, we were in the sauna and it's raining, and we found out that it was this big moment for Minneapolis. And I think like what resonates with me there is relationship. It's like you come together with a friend, you have you catch up, but then you're also your connection to your city, to the nature, to the environment. It was raining. I just felt really connected to my friend, and also to that evening was just so alive. You're going in and out of the sauna rounds in your backyard, which you pass through so many times, but you're suddenly like really aware of how it smells, and just the layers of connection and the layers of relationship there. I was really reminded of that on that night, from a interpersonal level all the way to this pop culture icon.
Right on. Teak?
Since I'm sitting here, I want to add to this story because it was a really powerful evening, and I can vividly remember standing on the porch, and it was my first time in these sauna experiences that we've been having for the last few years, where I've saunaed in the rain. And it was really moving at the time to be bathed in this Minneapolis rain. Now I have to back up. My personal relationship with Minneapolis begins with Prince in 1984, and so that whole series of days was incredibly intense, based on my deep love of Minneapolis, love of Prince, love of sauna, and all of the rain that happened. And we were just up the road, enjoying, but yet in a sort of sad, pensive, really introspective way, our lives and our community. And yet, as John, kind of spoke to, every night is different, and that particular night will remain with me for the rest of my life, just because that's what sauna does.
Amen. And you could have been sitting in a bar, you could have gone to a movie together, you could have gone for a bike ride, but there is something deep and powerful about a sauna session. It really. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, and Teak in his interview really, I think, spoke to it well. But it's easy for me, and you both have pointed this out, that I can get kind of esoteric in my when I start talking about my love of sauna, but to be really immediate, the physicality of it being just experiencing what your body feels like after activating your thermoregulatory system in the hot, and then coming out and letting it do its work in the cold. So your body is bringing you back into that comfortable zone, and it's not the air conditioning, it's not your down coat, it's your body working. That experience is kind of synonymous with me of like experiencing your body in that way, and experiencing nature in that way is like experiencing the ocean for the first time. Like, it's just that big, that dimensional. You might not become like an ocean person. You might just decide, well, I really prefer lakes, but like, you should experience the ocean. It's like a unique just experience of being a human being. And sauna is, I mean, if you've done it before and you've really, done the rounds before, it has that kind of depth to it. And, that being not just able to experience that on a regular basis with the community we have here and the facilities that we're building through the co-op, but also being able to share that with other people. You just know that they just haven't been to the ocean yet.
Or they haven't been to Wilco either. You go to a concert and you see all the hands in unison and the sharing, the bond. Everybody's cool, you know. I mean, you occasionally see some dickheads that you spill a beer on you or whatever, but there is this common sharing of an experience going to a concert, say, and it's a good vibe, you know. I mean, people are digging themselves. Hey, but they're not getting in a good sweat, are they? And if they are, they're maybe not digging themselves getting a sweat at a concert. But so, JP, a question for you. Why should people join the Stockyard, the 612 Sauna Society? Why? What's if you know? So if you just ran into someone on the street and they recognize you, say, "Oh, I know you. I was thinking about joining this thing. I was thinking about getting a membership. I was thinking about coming along, spending $15-20. Well, you know, what would you tell them? Why should they?
It's just one of the most simply delightful and connected experiences that you can make it a part of your life. Like it's this part of winter that suddenly transforms the things you maybe dreaded about that season into things you just can't wait for that weather to turn. You can't wait for the weather to turn, and for this tradition to, I'm gonna start over here so you can edit this out.
I ain't editing it out. I'm a bad editor. JP, you did a great job. It's the seasonality. Right? Like, you know, this guy on the street saying, well, you know, I don't know. It's, you know, say, hey, well, if you don't want to come in August, when your feet are cold and you're feeling shitty and it's the week before Thanksgiving, show up then, right?
I sauna all season.
I do too. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it's seasonal, but I think it's a way to connect, whether it's your body or with somebody else or with nature. It's a way just to make space for what needs space in your life, to connect with what needs connection in your life. And I don't know what that is for people, but I can tell you with thousands of people that have come in the sauna, I can tell when it happens, and it happens a lot. You just see people getting something that they needed. And I don't know what that is, but you can just tell when that connection happens. There's a certain feeling in the space, and that is, it's everything, and it's more than enough.
All right, here comes Alex. Alex, welcome to Sauna Talk. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. What do you do, and what keeps you busy when you're not working?
For a living, I sell real estate. I've been a real estate broker for most of my adult life, and I'm a musician sometimes.
Cool. What instrument?
Mostly things with strings, guitars, mostly banjos a bit.
Awesome. Sounds great. So you got hooked in with this 612 Sauna Society, and you are on the steering committee. And what is the reason why you are dedicating your time for this organization?
That's a really good question, Glenn. Well, I got invited to this dinner that JP put together, and in which he sort of unveiled this, at least to me, this idea of the steering committee, which in a way I kind of got... I didn't expect to be on the steering committee, and the reason I'm on the steering committee, I think, is that I didn't know JP until he reached out to me last fall, I think, and sent me a text and said, a little birdie told me that you want to open up a brick and mortar public sauna, so why don't you come and join me at my sauna and we'll talk about it, which I thought could be really cool or maybe kind of creepy. I don't know, because I didn't know who he was.
Amazing. And this was when?
Last fall, I believe.
Okay. And so, boy, I want to ask you a couple questions, so we might as well just dive right into the brick and mortar aspect. What got you interested in the concept of a brick and mortar public sweat facility?
Well, I've been to a few, not that many, but a few on the coasts, and every time I've been to any type of public hot tub, sauna type of place, it's always been inspiring. And somehow in the last, 15 years, it's been in my mind for years, I thought this would be a great thing to do someday. And then in the last couple of years, it seemed like maybe that someday is now.
Amazing. So you've had this idea for about 15 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Sweet, sweet. So there's a lot of parallel happening with the 612 Sauna Society and Alex's interest in a brick and mortar facility. And, I think Minneapolis is too warm for a public facility. What do you think?
Absolutely. It'll never work.
That's right.
Global warming, we're doomed.
That's right. So we might as well just go to International Falls and put it in, right? Better chance of success.
But with, a sauna, there's always a cold plunge. So we're going to balance. It's all about balance. There's a continuum of temperature.
Right on, right on. And I got to say, it's kind of funny. I do the Wim Hof method, and the cold plunge and cold immersion is a big deal. It is really funny seeing people like in Australia and California. They freeze water bottles and then they put them into the bathtub. I mean,
That's their version of cold, yeah.
That's their version of cold. We tell the listeners about Minneapolis. Maybe some are listening not from Minneapolis. Tell an experience of what cold is like in Minneapolis.
Yeah, there can be, say, a week, 10 days of, 10 below or even more, day after day after day. And it was definitely more, so global warming is a real thing. When I was a kid, I remember the blizzard of, I don't know, it was Halloween, the Halloween blizzard of 1993 or something.
I think it was 91, but...
Maybe it was 91.
Yeah.
And it was 3.5 feet of snow overnight,
Yeah.
and it was a classic Midwest blizzard, and it was awesome.
It was October 31st, Halloween, and I remember that winter because you never saw the grass until spring that winter. Remember that? There was no melt.
Yeah, I remember it because I had just got my driver's permit, and my parents were out of town, and somehow, I don't remember the exact details, but I drove the car when I shouldn't have, the only time without another person in the car, but I had my permit, and it was that blizzard.
Amazing. What a way to cut your teeth into driving, huh? Right on. So back to sauna, and that is, so why are you dedicating your time as a steering committee member with the 612 Sauna Society? Why?
There's just an innate feeling of community and some, it sounds kind of woo-woo, but some sort of healing aspect to this general idea of sauna culture, whatever the heck that is, I don't know. But it feels like a good thing for myself. It feels like a good thing for my friends. It feels like something you want to be an ambassador of because it just feels good, yeah?
Right on. And tell us about your sauna routine. Like how long does your sauna routine last ideally? What is a time through the sauna process that you particularly feel really good through the sauna cycles?
Usually, I would say if I have time, it's like a 3 cycle, in the sauna, cold plunge, cool down, 3 times, some version of that. But for me, the cold plunge is kind of the zinger. It's when all the endorphins and all the magic kind of happens. Right. And I've just started the Wim Hof method too. It's pretty cool. But anyway, it varies, but it depends how social you want to be. Depends, what your time's like. But getting really hot and then getting really cold, I don't know what the magic is, but there's something there.
Right on. And I think that tees the ball up to the next question I was going to ask you, and it could be the exact same answer, but if somebody listening here is considering joining the Stokeyard 612 Sauna Society, becoming a member, why? Why should they, and what would they get out of it?
This, I think that ideally the membership is going to allow a space, a physical space and a social space that doesn't exist in our city. And you don't know what you're missing until you experience it. So to be a member, it's I don't want to overstate it, but it's a bit of an adventure. And it's a social adventure. It's a physical adventure. It's going somewhere that is positive. And I think in this kind of general time of tension, globally, whatever that means to you, this is a way of contributing, in a way to compensate for all that tension.
Right on. Well said. So, Alex, if you could have a kick-ass mobile sauna and bring it anywhere, where would you choose?
In the city?
Anywhere. Let's go anywhere in the world.
Well, okay. I don't know about the penultimate or ultimate whatever sauna, but I can tell you that I just had a conversation with a friend in Ely last week, and he was like, why don't you put a mobile sauna on a pontoon? And I'm sure probably someone's done it, but I think they'd be really fun in Minnesota because we have so many lakes. have an amazing sauna with a deck, and you can jump right into the lake, and you float around with candles all around it at night. It'd be amazing. So that's my kind of like, I think that's a reachable vision in the next year or two.
I couldn't agree more. And what lake? Let's say that you had this thing going. What lake would you like to have this pontoon sauna on?
Well, I live a block from Cedar Lake in Minneapolis, which is, a pretty small urban lake, but I'm fond of it because I live so close to it. And that lake connects to Lake of the Isles, which connects to Lake Calhoun, and you could just kind of traverse the inner city lakes.
Friggin' love it. I love it. And, in the small world department, my cabin's on Lake Vermilion. I was just up there. Had the good fortune of spending quite a bit of time up there, and they have Vermilion houseboats. And the guy who owns his name's Chuck, and I've given him my Sauna Times card, and I said, we got to convert one of these houseboats into a sauna. So there you go. Well, it's the same gig you're talking about. See, this is the beauty of sauna and all of these parallel lines of thinking. And when we're done, Alex, I'm going to connect you to this guy who built a pontoon sauna. He's out in western Minnesota a little bit. Guy's named Grant, super guy. And we'll check out some photos. But I don't want to bore you listeners right now. But this is the wonderful thing about sauna and this parallel lines of thinking. And I have this vision for Alex. I can imagine him with one of those little captain's hats on, Cedar Lake, and people.
Horn or like a boo boo, some sort of what do you call it? What do you call those? A fog
blow horn kind of a deal, right? And think about if this pontoon sauna was available only for folks that are on some sort of other vessel, whether it's the kayaks or canoes, and you just tie right up and then hit a round or two, huh?
Yep, I dig it. It's great.
And not to get all monetary about it, but I've seen plenty of long lines at Calhoun and Harriet for boat rentals. I'm sure you have too, right, Alex?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then have you ever seen a line when it's been 40 degrees and rainy to rent a boat?
No.
Do you think if there was a pontoon sauna on the chain of lakes in Minneapolis, there could be people renting boats to get to the sauna?
It's a very entrepreneurial way of thinking about that. Yeah, you can make hay when the sun doesn't shine.
Amen, brother. Amen. And this is there's a post on Sauna Times that talks about a sauna at a cabin is your best insurance policy for bad weather, because when you have a cabin and you invariably have family up and kids and all that, it's going to rain. And I can't tell you how many times at our cabin when the rain would come, I would just smile from ear to ear and say, man, this is going to be a great day, because you turn like a frown upside down, as my good friend says. So we're on the same page, man. I love your thinking. And any other words for the folks listening? Anything come to mind about sauna and your dedication to the 612 Sauna Society, the Stokeyard? You're on the steering committee. Any final word about sauna?
Well, I guess some sort of cheers to the awesome aspiration of sharing the beauty of coming together around, I don't know, sweating and bathing, which sounds kind of funny, but there's something about it that's really enjoyable for everybody, and I think it's a great aspiration to share with everybody. So glad that we're coming together in that way.
So I'm sitting here with
Max Music Camp.
And Max, tell folks listening, what do you do in your day to day? What's your day job, and what keeps you busy?
Yep, I own a business. I started about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's dedicated to creating places where people want to be.
And this business is located in
Minneapolis.
And all of your clients are obviously in Minneapolis. This is a local business, is that right?
It's been local for the last few years, and now we're expanding outstate and doing our first project in Wisconsin with some of the main streets out there, making them more dynamic, inviting, vibrant places.
Fantastic. And tell the listeners about your history with sauna. I mean, how long have you been exposed to the authentic sauna experience?
It's really been quite recently, only about 2 years ago when I first met you and JP and others, and you all introduced me and invited me into your own saunas in your own house and JP's, and when the firehouse when it was over in the Phillips neighborhood, and it really opened my eyes to the power and the feeling of it, and really changed the way I experienced winter and my own body, and got me in touch with this wonderful community. And so I became a true believer right away.
But Alex, sorry, Max, you knew intuitively there was something about sauna, and I want to commend you for that, because you reached out to me. One of your clients has a public space, and there had to be something inside of you, even though you weren't exposed to sauna, you didn't grow up with sauna, but there had to be something in the essence of intuitively for you about sauna that you wanted that to be part of one of your clients' facilities. Is that right? And what was it? What was the essence that you intuitively knew?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we've been exploring a lot in the public spaces that we revitalize is using natural elements, human elements, things from the organic world, and specifically in a cold environment like Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, fire is such a powerful element that just draws people to it. There's something so elemental about it that just mesmerizes us. And we used a lot of campfires and other fire performers in the past, but just the idea of taking that to another level and like a fire box, a heat box, just struck us as something that in a digital world, a very human, organic experience, and a contrast with what's happening in the winter outside was just going to be something that people really loved and gravitated to. And we always like pushing the envelope and trying to figure out how to bring a public sauna to downtown Minneapolis and be the first ones to do that was really exciting.
And you did that. Nicollet Mall?
Yep, it was on Nicollet Mall between 12th and 13th, and it was such a big hit and really amplified and set the stage, I think, for Little Box Sauna to have the success it had last winter.
Right on. So you're a busy guy. You own your own business. Time obviously is a scarce commodity. Why dedicate the time that you're doing and the energy and the passion that you have as a steering committee member for the 612 Sauna Society Stokeyard project? Why dedicate this time?
Because when I take sauna, it's in a very important time for me, and it has been really transformative and improved my mood, introduced me to so many wonderful people. It feels great, and I want to share that same gift and that same opportunity to people who, like myself, were not exposed to authentic sauna growing up, and live in a cold winter climate, that want to create community, that want to experience organic ways of feeling great and alive and connected to the world around us. And it's just really, I feel like this connects with something that's really true and good, and I just want as many people to experience it as possible.
Well done. Now, I have to tell you, listeners, that Max, I tracked him down. I grabbed him. I came out to the hallway here, and I see Max turn in the corner with a towel, a big glass of water, and he's sitting here right now in his bathing suit. And he did not want to turn back and sit down on this interview. But I got him. I grabbed him, and I just want to free you up now, Max. I promised you only a couple of minutes. So what are you going to do right now, Max?
I'm going to go sweat.
And how many sauna rounds do you think you're going to get in?
At least 2, and I'm looking forward to swimming in the creeks in between.
Right on. Well, thanks. Any parting words for people listening, maybe thinking about joining this co-op here, this, becoming a member, 612 Sauna Society? Is there any, final parting words? I mean, you summarized it great. I mean, I just want those listening to understand that Max we'll call you a newbie to this thing. I don't like that term newbie, but this is what I love about sauna is you don't have to be Finnish. You don't have to have been, sitting in a sauna when you were like, a toddler with your grandfather and all that. You can get into sauna right away, right? Is there anything you want to say to that?
If you're a human being, you're going to enjoy an authentic sauna.
Okay, so we're sitting here with Michael. For those everybody's listening, what keeps you busy? What do you do in your day job, kind of a thing?
Well, I end up working in architecture for my day job, but outside of that, which feels more like work to me, is printmaking, spending time in my garden, hanging out with my dog, and just generally enjoying my passions outside of work.
Right on. So you're an architect by trade, but you enjoy other passions besides architecture.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like design manifests itself in a lot of different activities that occupy our life, and so it's just kind of about designing a lifestyle rather than just like working within architecture itself.
Perfect. Great. So, in other words, if you had to give up architecture, I get the idea you're the kind of guy that wouldn't have any trouble finding something else to do.
Not at all.
Right on. So let's talk about sauna, of course. What got you interested in why dedicate? I mean, you're obviously not getting paid to be on the steering committee. You were chosen to be on the steering committee, the 612 Sauna Society, the Stockyard project. Why dedicate your time to this project?
Well, I think the big thing is that I think this has been a long time coming to Minneapolis. It's actually a renaissance of the sauna culture. There was a large sauna culture that happened throughout the Midwest, essentially when the Finns and other Scandinavian cultures started making like their footprint in Minnesota. There was a thriving sauna culture, and that for many different reasons died off about 30 years ago, possibly 40 years ago. And now there's this renaissance happening. But why it's personal to me is that I grew up about an hour and a half north of the cities, cross-country skiing in the wintertime as a kid. My family had a small sauna in their house. Whether it was working outside or being recreational outside, we would just come and sauna a lot. It was something where there'd be kids in there, there'd be adults in there. We'd just be hanging out in the sauna. It'd be something in the middle of the wintertime that we'd do. And it just really brought people together. And, I think what's been great is John has brought a very unique voice and his personality to this, which has been awesome. And having this as a constant force in my life, just, knowing it almost more pragmatically than spiritually. And then when John brought this in, it was at a time in my life where I kind of needed it for the therapeutic value, and he invited me to join some saunas during a period of time that was pretty rough, and I started to see this therapeutic quality to it as well. And I think that's why he's bringing this interesting presence to it, is he's really invested himself as far as almost the caretaker of the sauna or the host goes, and has done a really great job in developing that.
Right on. You touched on something quite interesting. I mean, just the name itself, 612 Sauna Society, I find it really cool in the sense that, Minneapolis is a top 15 metropolitan area in the U.S. Around us. This is a real European-style city in that around, like whether it be Stockholm, Helsinki, Oslo, around us, it's some really beautiful nature. And you mentioned about growing up an hour and a half north of Minneapolis. The 612 Sauna Society is such a cool thing in that it brings that nature element to an urban physicality, right?
Yeah. Well, Minneapolis itself has been a little bit of an outlier for a long time in Midwestern cities. It's been a little bit more progressive, I'd say, than some of the other Midwestern cities. It's been a little more unique. It's constructed of some very strong independent neighborhoods that all revolve around community. And it's just small enough for everybody to know each other, and for word to get around when things are happening, for communities to remain tight, but also for the word to spread from one community to another and really bring people together around this idea.
Fantastic. And with regard to you and sauna, did you grow up, were you real young with this idea of skiing and then taking saunas? So what is your first sauna memory? How old were you?
I remember being young enough to be in the sauna where I couldn't really stand being in there for too long. So I remember hopping in there when there was a bunch of adults in there with my brother, and then sitting in there for a little while, but the heat being so much that we would just hop out. So, probably somewhere around 5.
Right. And we talked with Max, who's only about a year or two into the sauna experience, and for me personally, it was probably age 20. I'm going to say maybe I was 20, 21, 22 at the time when I got exposed to authentic sauna in Scandinavia. Same with JP, but you go back, to childhood kind of thing. So it must have been quite a rush to connect up with JP and see this budding sauna culture right in the town of Minneapolis.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, just to know that's happening, and also to know that's happening other places as well. And it has the strength there. The Pacific Northwest has a long history of hot springs, saunas, bathhouses that are pretty widely accepted. Other parts of the world, like I spent time in Istanbul teaching, have the hammams there, and just to know that the presence and the power that can have within community is pretty impressive. And so to come, back around after having that as a kid and to know this was happening here, it was pretty profound.
Right on. And what's your favorite part of the sauna process? Like the thinking about it, the first round, the cool downs. Like if you had to just pick one element of it that when you can say, wow, this is it. Is there a time within the sauna process that the sauna experience that you love the most?
Yeah. I'd say I do, and it's actually two times, but they're harmonious with one another. And the first is probably the second or third round cool down, when your body's worked through the cycle a few times, you've really gathered that heat, and you're allowed to just really decompress and let it out. And it's not a brief cool down, but it's a long cool down where you're outside for a while and you're able to weather temperatures that you would not normally be able to stand for quite a period of time, and you're able to digest that physically and mentally.
Right on, brother. I often use that term. I'm totally with you on this. And what I say, Michael, is it's like you listen to the core, not your skin, right?
Yeah, and it's also transformative because you realize the limits of your perception. And you realize a lot of times you'd normally oh, I'm cold. Well, no, you're actually not cold. Your fingers or your toes are just cold. The rest of your body's hot. And when you put yourself through that transition and those cool down phases, you're actually understanding where the heat lies in your body and the limits of your perception, or just kind of the locus of your perception. And that's why the end of the sauna is so important. It's almost that's the most powerful moment, is when you've walked away from it and you realize that transformation from when you arrived to the end. And you've gone through those cool downs, you're way more in tune with your body. If anything, you just feel way healthier and stronger than when you walk there.
Yeah, but you sleep like shit after sauna, don't you?
Yeah. I've had some of the most lucid dreams after sauna sessions that I've ever had. Just coming in. I mean, sometimes it honestly does take me a little bit longer to fall asleep.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. You have a little endorphin rush happening.
Yeah, I have a rush happening, yeah.
Like you've been biking for a while or something.
Sure, it's for sure. It'd be the similar experience to biking, running, or doing yoga or something like that prior to trying to go to sleep. There's a little bit of a rush, but once I actually do fall asleep, I sleep so much more soundly, and my dreams are more vivid, lucid, and I'm actually able to remember them better.
Sweet, interesting. So, a final question. Well, I got two more questions for you. The first one, back to someone listening here that may be thinking about joining the 612 Sauna Society, the Stockyard Cooperative kind of a thing. If a little sales pitch, why should someone part with their hard-earned cash and join?
Well, I mean, there's no other experience like it out there. There's nothing right now that's being offered in Minneapolis, St. Paul. If you're at all concerned about your health, and not only just your health, but the health of the city and the space that we occupy, it's a great way to get in touch with that. I think a lot of us are in tune with certain facets of our health, whether it's eating, exercise, a combination thereof. But a lot of people haven't tapped into this, and it actually is an integral part of it. It's something that can play a larger part of it. And it then extends beyond just the space of yourself into the health of others around you that make up your community.
Michael, if you could have a kick-ass mobile sauna and bring it anywhere, not just in Minnesota, where would you choose? Where would you like to go?
That's a tough question, but I think I would like to take it to Hawaii because I grew up there. After I grew up in Minnesota, my family moved us to Hawaii, and I think it would be really interesting to be in a place like that where a sauna would be more of an anomaly, but to have an area that's birthed out of fire and lava, it's created from heat, and to be able to be in that environment, to be in the ocean and be back and forth and just experience that would be pretty surreal to me.
Right on. Michael, Gordon, thanks so much for sharing some time. Any parting words to folks about sauna and what it means to you, 612 Sauna Society? What are you going to do after this mic is over? Any parting words?
I just say it's simple, but just check it out. I think we can approach it with reticence, and it's definitely easy. We're definitely easy not to be involved in something, but just take a little time, and even if you just go once and you don't like it, then you have to go again. But it's something that I think you'll definitely have an interesting reaction to.
So there you have it. Those are a cast of characters in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, who are engaged with a project, the 612 Sauna Society. I am also a steering committee member, and I'm excited to donate my time and my energy to help bring the authentic sauna experience to more and more people in the Twin Cities. So this is a budding movement. There's a lot of sauna activity happening in other cities in North America. Canada, very popular spot for sauna. Up in Winnipeg, there's a public sweat lodge. I haven't been there yet. On Sauna Times, on the front page, if you scroll down, there's a directory of public sauna sweat facilities. Soon to be on this podcast is the general manager for the Chicago Sweat Lodge, Bill Trotter. Very excited to be bringing him to Sauna Talk. And there's also Archimedes Banya in San Francisco. So we got a lot brewing. And 612 Sauna Society, part of the 218-612 series of Sauna Talk. We did 3 episodes up in the northern Minnesota area in 218, and now we're going to be talking about some sauna action in Minneapolis. So welcome on board, and 612saunasociety.com if you want to learn more information. See you on the bench.